Hello once again on Dallas Cowboys Nation. Today, let's talk about the game recap between Dallas Cowboys, which defeat Seattle 17-7. So, with this game, with different backup largely playing in the first preseason game of the 2026 exhibition schedule, judging just how good defensive coordinator Christian Parker's defense is good to be a bit tough. But after a slow start, his unity showed a sign that things indeed might be different this year as it incurred a Dallas Cowboys 17-7 victory over a Seattle Seahawks. The Unity gave up a touchdown on Seattle's opening drive of the game, but it took care of the business over the rest of the night, which included a goal line stance in the fourth that essentially sealed the game. As the group, they didn't allow a point over the final three end. A half quarter and limited of the Seahawks to just 156 total yards of the offense and measly 76 yards passing. Likewise, the offense needed a little time to get rolling, but eventually found its leg. Behind the center, Sam Howell got the start for the Cowboys and played the first two quarters, while Joe Milton's came in the fourth for the second half. Howell was efficient in his Dallas introduction, completing 8 of 12 passes for 96 yards, with no turnover for the Heath 118 passer rating. But Milton equaled him in the race for the second quarterback position. He threw for 107 yards and touchdown of 12. The true star of the game throw might have been a wide receiver, Camden Brown. The undrafted rookie out of Georgia Safan continued the extraordinary praise he shone all during training camp. He finished with 3 catches for the game, high 62 receiving yards, and pair of the touchdowns. The second of which was truly highlight Lilworth. The overall, the Cowboys lacked up 338 total yards of the offense and 100 the time of the possession. So for the first quarter, the Dallas Cowboys near all the expected starter weren't on the field, but the depth of the Christian Parker defense still didn't exactly get off with a bang. The Seahawks, who had their own backups in the game, took the opening kickoff, and thanks to a pair Dallas penalties matched 80 yards in 13 plays to the end zone. A 5-yard toss from a Delay Lucky to wide out Montalí Foster provided a touchdowns and the L7 leads. And for the second quarter, the Cowboys were on the move of the clock, ticked over into the second frame, having originally started the possession at their own 16 yards line. So, and thanks in the parts of the pair of the Howell connection to Jonathan Mingo, that moved the chains on the third downs. The offense eventually reached the Seattle 10 yards line, but their drive still saw out come Brandon Aubrey, who picked up right where he left off his cheap foot, 29 yards for Brandon Aubrey Goldfield. A Dallas catch a break later in the quarter after the Seahawks again went on the length dive, using 14 plays to cheer up 60 yards to the Cowboys' 17 yards line lines. However, a Packer troops got the stop they needed, and then Setro kicker Jason Miller 45 yards field goal attempt sailed wide right. Despite were now being only two left in the quarter, that was plenty of the time for the Cowboys to get across the goal line. Howell led the squad 65 yards in 7 plays, converting a third and 7 with 10 yards scramble, finding a lucky tie and Michael tricks on a pair passes for combined 17 yards, and then throwing 39-yard strike to another lucky come down blown for the touchdowns. With that, Dallas went into the half with a null of 10 or out of 7 lead. So on the 30 minutes of the third quarter, I got underway. Milton didn't waste any time throwing off his cannon of the arm. He completed five of his first 6 passes for 62 yards and also landed the ball 3 times for 8 more. Behind his effort, Dallas quickly went 84 yards in 13 plays for its second touchdowns of the game, and wow, what thing beauty that was. Milton lofted a pass to block a left corner of the end zone, where a Brown poured in the leaping one-handed catch for a remarkable score and 17-7 advantage. So the special team, which struggled at the time last year, didn't do the Cowboys of favor when the later Dakota and Loshell returned a punt 53 yards. With a Dallas also being called for illegal formation on the play that tackled on another 5, setting up the Seahawks at the Cowboys 27 yards line. So on the last quarter, fourth quarter, the pressure for the Dallas Cowboys was high, and the Dallas defensive did its job. On the first play, the final quarter, Seattle was facing a 4th and 4 at the Cowboys, and the 6 yards line, but the unity brought the pressure, allowing a short pass that actually lost 4 yards. So unfortunately, with those fighting for their NFL lives, finishing out the game, the Dallas special team again, really its York head and 19 yards punt returned by Treshaun Holdens was negated by the too many on the field penalty. On the second punt, Holden deliberately tried to pick up coming 2 years line, only to morph it, which allowed Asetro to cover the fumble of the Dallas doorstep. But once again, the Cowboys will up the task. The defense kept the Seahawks from reaching the end zone on the first-rate attempts, an effort that put Bohr nice debut for the Christian Packer. So, as we wanted to see, so the Caleb Downs also continue to attract enormous attention. The rookie safety is being used different roles, and his ability to play safety move closer to the line of the scrimmage and contribute in coverage gives a Christian Packer a lot of flexibility. Donovan Azelwan has Shavon Level has also shown flashes during the camp, and perhaps most important, the defensive line now looks completely different. Quinnen Williams, Kenny Clark, and Lashan Gary give a Dallas much stronger front than it had previously. The Cowboys defense also looked impressive against the Lambs, although it is impossible to remember that joint. A practice are not regular season game. The Rams offense and defense also had a good moments and both teams were testing schemes rather than playing a real game. Still, for the Dallas Cowboys fans, seeing pressure, turnover, and better communication is very positive. Until now, in the camp in Oxnard in California for the Dallas Cowboys. So let's continue. Let's talk on Quinnen Williams, just who received a massive contract extension in the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas has agreed to a massive 3-year extension with defensive tackle Quinnen Williams. The deal is worth approximately 100 million US dollar with more than 100 million US dollar guaranteed according to reporting around the agreements. This is a huge commitment for Keenans, but it is also tell us something important about how the Cowboys view Quinnen Williams. They do not see him as the short-term player. They see him as one of the foundation of this defense. Because if his contract is extended for 3 years, he can be one of most the players in defense who can load on others. Williams is expected to be one of the leaders of the defensive front alongside Kenny Clark and Lashan Gally. The timing of extension is also interesting because a Dallas Cowboy was able to structure the contract in a way that creates some short-term financial flexibility. That has immediately led to speculations among the Cowboys fans. So the question that every Dallas Cowboys fans is asking themselves is, if could Jerry Jones be preparing for another major moves? And until now, nobody should automatically assume another blockbuster trade which is coming in the Dallas Cowboys, but the timing has certainly created more questions. Jerry Jones has opened the door for a blockbuster trade. This is where things get very interesting. Jerry Jones made one of the strongest trade-related statements, so the Cowboys fans have heard from him in years. During a training camp, Jones said Dallas would be willing to give up the future top pick if the right player become available and could meaningfully improve the team immediately. He is essentially made it clear that the Cowboys are willing to sacrifice future draft capital for the present day's talent. This is a major change in philosophy. Jerry Jones specifically said top picks could be expendable if the player was good enough to improve the teams in opening day's matches. He's also admitted that he had spoken with another NFL owner about the potential move, so if the Dallas Cowboys did not extend the contract for Quinnens, another team can finally sign this player. The Max Crosby and Dallas Cowboys this time. Of course, the Cowboys Nation immediately started talking about the Max Crosby with his team leaders. The Cowboys' interest in the Cowboys is not a complete new story. Earlier this year, Jerry Jones acknowledged that Dallas had been involved in discussions surrounding the Crosby before the potential Baltimore Ravens trade collapsed. At the time, Jones said he did not anticipate reopening the situation with the Raiders, or thought he did not completely close to the door. But now things have changed. Jerry Jones has openly said the Cowboys are willing to trade a premium future picks for a right player. That does not prove Dallas is the trading for the Max Crosby. It is very important to make that distinction. This is currently no confirmed report saying that the Crosby has been traded to the Dallas. But the situation remains fascinating because the Crosby is exactly the kind of the player Jerry Jones described. He's proven elite pass rusher who could immediately change the identity of the defense. So imagine if the Cowboys defensive front featuring Quinnen Williams, Kenny Clark, Lashan Gary, and potential Max Crosby. That could be one of the most aggressive defensive fronts in the football. However, there would be a huge price. The Raiders would likely demand significant draft compensation, and the Dallas could have considered a Crosby contract age, health, and long-term financial impact. So far now, Cowboys fans should treat the Crosby story as the major rumors and the possibility and not an official trade. So the reason the trade rumor matter is Dak Prescott. Dak is not getting younger. The Dallas know the window to win with him is now. Dak has already said the team's mindset is basically why not now? Why we cannot be a Super Bowl contender this year? The Cowboys have an offense featuring CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, while Javonte Williams gives the running game another important weapon. George Pickens is particularly interesting. He is entering another season with Dallas after his first year with the organization. The Cowboys are expecting him to become a major playmaker or a good kicker alongside the CeeDee Lamb. During the Lamb's joint practice, Dak Prescott and George Pickens showed chemistry, while Lamb also made several impressive plays. That combination could become one of the biggest strengths of the Cowboys' offense.